So just so I can kind of gauge time wise, who here's just here for like the general discussion? Okay. Who has like very specific questions they want me to answer? Okay, very good. So that kind of helps me just gauge my time since I about have an hour and a half with you. But those of you who have been here before, I'm going to try and continue the whole like general discussion thing, and then usually that's about half the class, and then I'll do some one-on-one stuff. And then I'm not terribly in a rush today, so if we take a little longer, I'm okay with that. Not trying to keep you guys any longer than you need to, but don't feel like we have to rush too hard. So anyway, who wants to start? Any questions? Yes.
I have a question. My friend was looking for her contacts last night.
Okay.
She went into her phone to the, like, you call somebody, and in there's a little thing there that says contacts.
Yeah.
She went to that, and then she's scrolling through this. How does she get a little icon like I've got that says contacts, and you put them in alphabetical order?
Does she have an iPhone?
Yes.
I
was sitting there, and I'm going, what are you doing?
So without seeing her phone, I bet you what's happening. So you can actually get to, so if you open up the phone app on your iPhone, you'll see down there at the bottom, you'll see like calls, dial pad, recents, voicemail, and one of those options is contacts. So you can get to your contacts that way. But if you want, like you're talking about, have like a symbol, that's actually an app on its own, and it's going to be somewhere on the phone. So probably were you here for my iPhone class?
Yeah, it's she doesn't have it. She scrolled through her thing, and there's not a little square thing that says contacts.
Okay, so it's possible if she doesn't see the square, it's possible that it's stuck in that app library. Remember where you scroll all the way to the end?
Okay.
And it's possible, so you might search for it in there. And if it truly is not there, you can go to the App Store and download it.
Okay, because I told her, I says, you can, if you're driving somewhere where you say call Twisted Fresh, and it'll call them if you got that in your contacts.
Yeah, you can do that.
And you don't have to
right.
Pick it up or,
yeah, that functionality may work even without the Contacts app, to be honest with you, because
I've tried to call people that aren't on my contacts.
Well, correct, but if you try to call, well, you're talking about by name.
Yeah.
Yeah. So sometimes that'll work with, like, if you try to say like call this establishment, sometimes that may not work because you're going to use like Google data or things like that. So there's a little more complication to that.
But there's multiple restaurants with the same name.
That's part of it, yeah.
And then I also use it when I'm going somewhere. I put the address in there and the name. So
yep, you can
need to refer to it in the future, it's there.
And that is the better way to do it. If it's an establishment that you're going to be using multiple times or frequently, it's better to go ahead and just add that as a contact rather than relying on, because when you ask Siri or your car or whatever to call this place and you don't have it as a contact, it goes and it searches for that information, and although that can work, it's not reliable always. And I think so your friend's problem is partly that she doesn't have her contacts app set up correctly, and probably part so. But I think start with the contacts thing.
I'll go down the end of the thing.
Yeah, I bet you. I mean, it's on the phone by default, so unless they uninstall it, it's going to be there somewhere. But in case she did accidentally uninstall it, you can go back to the Apple App Store and install it.
And how can she get all of her contacts in that? Will it just pick it up automatically?
It should pick it up automatically, yeah.
Does it automatically go alphabetically?
Yes.
By first name, last name? First.
By first name, but you can go in there and you can change it.
All right. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
How do you delete a contact?
Most of the time you press and hold on it, and then it should give you the it'll either select it. So, and I can show you here in a second. So yes, it'll yeah.
And why does mine say on this when it upgraded or my iPhone?
Yeah.
I hate it. It says MV card Nancy Burns at the top of my contacts. What does that mean?
That's yours. So by default, so she's asking in your contacts. I think some Androids are doing it and iPhones do it by default, but you'll see your name at the top.
Yeah.
That's just standard. That's how iPhone does it. They store your own phone number and your contact information there. it's also like if you share your contact with someone, that's where whatever information you're sharing with someone else, that's where you're going to put that in there. I don't know if you guys have known this, but you can actually, if you enable it, you can touch two phones together and it'll share your contact with them. Yeah.
So on your emails, when your emails are in here, and you want to save that one email, like I'm going on a trip,
Mm-hmm.
and I want to say my son sent it to me
Mhm.
through my email. How do I get it to my wallet? Can you show us that?
Save what? Your tickets?
Uh-huh.
So I think we talked about this once, and it depends on. So here. Let me show you something. So what you're really looking for is, so see these. Oh. See these right here. So these are kind of the universal like logos you're looking for when you hit add to wallet. So let's say he forwards you that email with tickets in it. You're going to end up in one of two positions. Either that email itself is going to have a direct place or a direct logo like this to add it to your wallet, or it's going to there'll be something that says something like, look at your tickets, find your tickets, manage your tickets. And then once you go there, it may find something like that. If it doesn't, excuse me, what I'm trying to say is not everything is compatible with Apple Wallet. So you may not be able to add it to your Apple Wallet. Just because it is a ticket doesn't mean that they programmed it well enough to be able to do that.
Do you have the airline app? I have the airline app.
Some, but not if she didn't book it.
I didn't book it. My son booked it, and he sent me
Maybe.
all the.
But if he has the reservation number, you should still be able to do it.
Depends on the airline, depends on the app. Let's look at it together. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But there's not like a really simple, like, this is what you do. Pretty much you're trying to find this button somewhere to press when it comes to tickets.
And my other question is are there any apps out there that you think as a senior that we should have?
Oh,
That's a great question.
that is a great question.
I don't know. I mean.
No, it's a great question. It's just a hard question.
I mean, some of the ones that you think are very helpful for maybe not just.
Yeah. So. Yeah, I'm trying to think of a few. So if you don't know, that I find it when you ask me that question, really what I'm trying to think about is challenges that seniors have with technology, or you know what I'm saying, and then like as they go through life, what they need in that instance. I usually, when I mention things like I've had a lot of people that I've mentioned that there's voice recording apps on your phone. A lot of people find that very helpful because it's not something you have to sit there and write down right at the moment, but it's something you can touch, record, and then save it for later and reference it later.
That costs money.
No. So iPhones and Androids both have them built in, and they're usually called voice recorder or voice memo, things like that. Yeah.
Like when you're at the doctor's office and explaining about the surgery,
yes.
Somebody else went through and you got to.
Exactly. Or if you want to remember what he says later, you can ask for consent, of course, but like, hey, do you mind if I record this conversation so I can reference it later? You don't, I mean.
So it's called what?
It's usually called voice memo or voice recorder. If you don't have it, you can find the Apple. Yeah, and there is an Apple and Android approved versions of that.
Well, that's different than when you're on a phone call. There is a button you can press to record that existing one, but they will also hear that message that they are being recorded.
That is correct. So that's a recent thing that phones added, and I'll pull both up so you can kind of see the symbols of what we're talking about. But voice recorders, your notes app, very great things. If you don't understand or use a digital calendar, that's another thing I would suggest.
Yeah, how do you do that?
That's a whole class. Yeah, not that I don't want to help you, but it's, yeah.
Can you change it where it shows a whole month at a time instead of just a week?
Most calendars default to like a schedule view, which is like the day or week. You can definitely let it see a month at a time. It just depends on what calendar you're using, so I can't tell you like press this specific button. But yes, most I haven't seen a calendar product yet that you can't see weeks, 2 weeks at a time, months, the year, quarter.
Can you get rid of all the holidays off the calendar?
Yes. So usually, when you talk about calendars, like digital calendars,
That's the one that's put on there.
yeah, you're not physically talking about the days of the month on the calendar. You're really talking about a bucket of events. And so usually there is a calendar that is a holiday calendar, a US calendar, a US holiday calendar, excuse me, and you can unselect that or delete it. Yeah.
On that thing for the doctor.
Yes.
Emergency,
Yes.
it's, you got your allergies and emergency and contacts and notes and all that.
Yes.
And we push on them, it doesn't pull up.
Yes, 1 second. So show me this again.
If you try to push on that.
Because you can't change it there. You're just looking here. Hit done for me. Sorry. Oh geez. Sorry. Let me look really quick. Yeah, I'll show you where to change stuff.
Okay.
Yeah, right. If you want to take that as a note, write it down and I'll show you. Okay. Sorry guys. So here's the voice memo app. This is the iPhone one, but they usually look very similar. They'll either be like this or like a microphone. So you're looking something similar like this. I apologize for everyone who has an Android phone. I'm not trying to skip you. I just don't use it on a daily basis. You did raise a great question. Thank you for bringing that up because I just learned some more about it. Does anyone know who has iPhones? Yeah. Who uses the medical ID or knows what that is, what I'm talking about? Yes. So I'll show you that really quick because I actually think, I know it's not an app, but something you should set up on your phone. So
You set it up on your phone, but you don't.
yeah, I'll show you photos so you can kind of see what I'm talking about. Actually, I bet you Android has a version of it. I can't believe, I wouldn't be able to believe that they don't, but I don't know. I'll Google it really quick and we'll look together. I just don't know as much about it. But long story short, what they do is like your medical ID, if you set it up, someone like, let's say something happens to you or you lose your phone or whatever, it's something where you don't need access to the phone, but they can open it and you choose what information is available, right? And then they can see, like, I have set up my emergency contacts, I've got my blood type set up, my height, my weight, and you can add allergies, health conditions, things like that, so that if for some reason something happens to you and a paramedic gets a hold of you, they can look at that information on your phone and be like, okay, long story short, if you're on the ground unresponsive and they don't know what conditions you have, it's going to be a lot better for them to understand what's going on with you if you have all that information. Exactly, yeah. So let me show you. So it looks like, oh, that didn't go as big as I wanted it to. Oh, that's a video. Oh, sorry guys. But it looks like this. So they would be able, so this is like when you're turning off your phone, if you guys ever do that. No. It's like, so if you want to see if you have it set up or not or what you have, if you press and hold the power button and your volume up button at the same time, like you're turning it off, but don't turn it off, you should see this little slider here. And if you go ahead and slide that, you'll see if it's there or not. Slide. So I'm pretty sure I've set yours up. So you don't have it set up. It's not there. You can just hit cancel. And if you don't see it there, that means you don't have it set up.
Mine's set up for contacts, but not my medications. I should put my medications in
Yep,
there.
exactly. And then you can do that in settings. So
How do I get it set up?
hang on, I'm getting there. Okay, can you guys kind of see this?
When you tap it, is it supposed to come up?
Yeah, so it's in your settings. Sorry, say
So
that.
I need to go to my settings then.
Right.
I don't know.
You have to swipe it. So
Have
if
to
you
swipe it?
if you swipe,
Okay.
and then that's all the information you have set up.
Okay.
So again, and we can look, Marianne. There's probably a solution for it. I just can't remember off the top of my head.
I'd be happy to come over someday.
Sure, but
Emergency SOS?
exactly. And this is where you're gonna enable it, right? So that's pause. Wrong thing actually. Ignore me. I just realized what it was asking. Hang on. Hang on. Sorry, I gave you the wrong screen without realizing. The SOS is something different. I'll explain that in a second, but that's not.
Yeah, 'cause that's kind of weird. I have a weird contact that shouldn't be in the emergency contact line.
Hang on. The internet's not helping me very well right now.
Oh, you do? No, I scroll down and.
Okay, it's in the. So anyone who's feeling frustrated with the new iOS update, you're not alone. I'm also learning, so bear with me as well. It's in settings underneath health. So if you look for that health, like HEALTH, health. And then there's where you can put in your information. But if you take medications, if you have any conditions, anything like that.
Just under regular settings says help?
Yes. Yep.
Mine doesn't say that either.
Well, hang on.
Mine doesn't either.
Hang on.
She's got her husband's in her, so she has to change.
Oh, here
Well,
it
we
is.
share that.
Here, it's there.
Yeah, that's okay.
Go back to. Go to
Oh, I
apps.
see what you're saying.
Go to apps. And now scroll. I found it. Health.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, sorry. Again, it's one of those changes. If you scroll all the way down, you'll see apps.
It hit.
And then in the apps, it's in the health app.
It hit the health app. Okay.
Yep. You're good.
I got into medical book, but now this woman is no longer alive, so I just.
It's got the
So,
card on it.
so yeah. So you actually have to.
I already held it.
So if you scroll all the way down
Yeah.
to apps,
Yeah.
and you find the health app.
Aaron. Oh, the health one is in there.
Yep. And then this is so this is where you change most of the settings in the health ID.
Okay, now. Okay, so I want to
And
subtract this
see
one.
this edit.
Yeah,
And then
okay.
that's where you can remove people. Anyway, sorry guys. So let me repeat that one more time. So settings, scroll all the way down to apps. You'll see one called health. Once you tap on the health app, it'll say medical ID, and that's where you can set up all your information. Thank you for bringing that up. I didn't even think about that, but yes.
One's health details and one's medical ID.
Yeah, I think
The health details is the white with red heart.
there's information in both. So I think you might have to.
Because see, this is.
Yeah.
And
So
the-
like your medical
See,
ID,
and
it's got this stuff in it, and so your health details, it's got your other stuff in it. So you kind of have to. It's kind of like a.
Yeah, but this isn't how it's in this.
No, I think some of that is just. I think this is really the important part. This is like so the health app can. I don't utilize it as well as it could, but like the health app will help you track certain things, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
See, what's weird though is
She is not an emergency contact.
You can set her as an emergency contact in the contact. So I wonder if at some point that happened accidentally. But you can hit edit, and you can remove her. Anyway, okay. So I know that was really quick and dirty. I don't want to get into it too much, but the SOS stuff that I was talking to you about before, it's a function, and I need to teach another iPhone class, and we can go over that specifically. But yeah, but the Android one's coming up this month. If you don't know, yeah. So it's a long story short. If you're in trouble, you can slide turn your phone off like that and hit the SOS. And long story short, you set up emergency contacts, and it like sends by hitting the SOS, it sends them your location and tells them, hey, I have now enabled SOS. In other words, like if you're in a kidnap situation or dangerous or whatever, it's like a silent button, so you can press to send out to your emergency contacts and things like that.
Yeah, I'm gonna remember that when I'm in kidnap situation.
Yeah, right. It usually.
I'll tell you one that ruins the SOS though.
Yeah.
My daughter was on a bike ride, which we knew she was, a motorcycle. She had her phone in her backpack, and it
Triggered
that SOS, and sent it to us, and we couldn't get a hold of her.
Yeah, I know.
And highway patrol, everyone else.
So there are several ways to trigger that SOS response. So number one is I think if you rapidly press the side button 5 times. Yeah. So sometimes that'll happen, and it'll set it off. Probably what happened with her is you can actually set up impact response, where if the phone thinks you were in a wreck of some sort, it'll send it out too. So yeah. So what up? I don't. It's going to be in there somewhere. I can't. To be honest, Kathy, I don't remember a lot of the setting. What I do is I search for it at the top. So in settings, there's a search bar. Type in like impact and see if it comes up. Okay, let's regroup. Yeah.
There's no arrows.
Oh, hit done.
I did.
I guess we have to just swipe down.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that was kind of confusing. I figured the done would take it out. Okay. More questions? Yes.
Is there a way to generally set up, like, okay, one of my credit cards, I use Face ID,
Mhm.
but then it asks for the 4-digit code or whatever. Is there a way to put that in for any of your apps, or do you have to do each app individually? Because I like that.
Using the Face ID or using the code?
I like both.
Okay.
Because number one, I got caught in a scam. So
Sure.
I feel much more confident having both. But do you have to do it in each app separately, or is there any way to put that up?
So two things I want to clarify. Your Face ID is not your actual password, and your PIN code is not really your actual password. They're kind of similar things. So you're always going to have a PIN when you have your Face ID. And the reason why that is because your PIN's a lot more reliable than your biometrics. I mean, changing your glasses, things like that can cause like Face ID things to break. So you're always going to have a PIN as a backup. So my point in saying that is your PIN is the default. Think about it like that. No, generally speaking, so it's up to the app that you use whether they accept or use Face ID. So not all apps will use Face ID.
Right.
And that's true. And then usually if they do, you do have to go in and allow them to use Face ID. And most of the time, that's not a manual process other than hitting yes. Most of the time, if you sign into an app that allows Face ID, it'll ask you, hey, would you like to use Face ID in the future? So the answer is it's up to the app whether they support Face ID or not. Yeah.
But what I wanted to know is, okay, if I use Face ID, which that's fine,
Mhm.
but then after Face ID, it's a double thing. It asks for my
Mm.
or my 6-digit notification. It's like a double thing.
Makes me wonder. So iPhones did release this new thing where they're doing like private apps where it does require another authentication. You probably have that set up on an app. And if you do have, if that is what that is, and we can look, then yes, you would have to go in and do that for the specific apps that you want. Yeah. Okay. We have like 15 more minutes of like group discussion. Then any other questions? We don't have to. We can also, yeah.
This Apple Pay, I was trying to order something. I have a terrible time ordering anything. I almost never do.
Sure.
But it came up and wanted this, and it went to this screen, and it went to that, and then all of a sudden, you were set up for your Apple Pay. I don't want Apple Pay on my phone.
Okay.
Can I just go out and delete it?
You, we can probably disable it, but really what Apple Pay is, I mean, I'm sure you know, but it's like a,
No, I don't know.
so what it is, it's part of your wallet.
I don't have a wallet out there.
Well, you do now.
Okay.
So, and I'll show you. I'll sit there and show you. But long story short, so you have your Apple Wallet, and your wallet, and by default, if you have a wallet, it's going to have your Apple Cash card in there. A lot of people don't use it; they don't manage it, but that is what's going to be their default. And what that
Your checking account or your credit card?
no, it's really if you use Venmo or Cash App or something like that, it's just it's like a fake card that you can add money to. Think of it like a reloadable Visa card or something like that. Anyway, my point is just you'll always see that if you're confused. If you don't know what that is, you didn't add it, you didn't set it up, that's what it is. Then the rest of your wallet, you can add your credit cards to there. So you can add your Discover, Master, Visas, etc. And then Apple Pay, essentially what you're doing, instead of swiping your card, if something or website, whatever is compatible with Apple Pay, it'll use you can select one of those cards in your wallet that's already added, and it'll essentially swipe it for you.
I don't want that out there. I don't want
Yeah.
my credit cards on there unless I enter it to buy something.
Well, then let's look at that, and I'll show you how to disable it. It's not generally difficult. I just can't remember off the top of my head. You have to go into your wallet and disable it. Yeah.
But they also charge you on your Apple Pay, don't they? No, they
I
don't.
did get a charge on
Yes,
something.
I've gotten an Apple Pay, Apple thing charge.
Most likely what you did,
I didn't know what it was.
on accident or purpose, most likely what you did is signed up for something to be reoccurring. So if you use Apple Pay and they're like, this is a monthly subscription or something like that, then it'll charge it every time, yeah.
Can I get rid of that?
You'll have to go to the institution that's charging your card and change your payment method. Because essentially what you do is you use Apple Pay as your payment method. And then they're charging your card every time. So yeah, you can definitely remove it. You just have to go to Netflix or whatever. Yeah. Judy?
How do I know that I have the most recent update on my phone? Because I don't remember getting it overnight.
Yeah. So if you want to know what version of iOS you're on, if you go to your settings in general, and then it'll say about iPhone or yeah, and then it should say iOS version 18.62. Yeah, so you're one version behind, which is okay. There's been a lot of some people are really unhappy with 26. Let me just say it like that.
It really changed stuff, but it's working okay.
If you want my personal opinion, I actually think a lot of the changes they made are good. It's just very different. And so it's going to take people a little bit of time to get used to it. Yeah.
I have a general question.
You're fine.
I've got an Android and I've had one ever since I had an iPhone.
Yeah.
My one brother and I have Android, and everybody else in the family has, iPhone.
Sure.
I'm going to get a new phone this spring. Is there any compelling reason to get an iPhone if I've been an Android all this time?
Yeah, so I want to be clear on that.
Yeah, I would hear that.
I'm going to answer a question that I feel like a lot of people ask. And I'm going to specifically answer it for cell phones, but this is with anything. I feel like a lot of people who have Androids get really pressured by people with iPhones to get an iPhone. And that's because for them, iPhones work really well, and it just happens to be that there are more iPhones out there than there are Androids. But my point of view is that your phone is your tool, and if for you it's easier to use an Android and it's better for you an Android, then that's what you should be using. there's no reason you need to go to an iPhone if it's going to cause you to not know what you're doing or struggle or make it. Now, if it's something you want to do, you're like, no, I think that's better for me, and I'm just going to have to get through the learning curve of having an iPhone, that's fine. But if you're like, listen, my Android does everything that I want it to do, and I'm happy with it, and I'm cool with it, there's no reason for you to have to go to an iPhone. So it's totally up to you. There's no, in my mind, there's no correct answer on iPhone or Android. There is just different reasons to have either one.
Okay.
Sometimes don't
Yeah.
they have trouble communicating with each other?
They can. They can. We are slowly getting closer and closer to closing those gaps. Yeah.
My other half's on Android. and a couple
Because that's the
of
ones
kids
they
got
want to
iPhones, and
for certain
he
things.
Yeah.
sends us something, sometimes it doesn't come through. right.
Yeah. So the two biggest things that happen when you're talking about between Android and iPhones in that regard, like compatibility, if you want to talk about it like that. So number one, like messaging. So Androids now, so when you send a text message, it uses the cellular service to send that text, like physically the text, like hello, how are you, whatever. Then there is like, so iPhones use SMS, which is what that is, and then they also use iMessage. I can't remember what the Android version is called fancy wise, but they use RCS, which is an internet version, which means they're not using the cell towers. They are through your whatever, but it's more of an internet based thing. And that's where and they don't use the same thing like that. And that's where you fall into the issues with like pictures not reading right on Android versus iPhone and other things like that. But that gap is closing. Or, on iPhones or Androids where you can see if someone's read the message or something like that. Those kind of things are not compatible. The last thing I'll say, no, not yet. Yes, but not yet. The other biggest problem people run into is, so let's say that I'm a company who develops an app for a phone. I cannot take the same app and put it on iPhone, and I cannot take the same app and put it on Android. I have to make a version for iPhone and I have to make a version for Android. And what happens is a lot of developers, especially smaller apps, like I'm not talking about like the Facebook of things. I'm talking about like, my mind's drawing a blank. But what happens is because iPhone is more popular, they'll do the iPhone version first, and they'll either skip the Android version or make it simpler. And that can go both ways too. I've seen it both ways. And that's the other thing that people have an issues with because they're like, okay, this was on my Android phone and it's an app, and then there's not always an equivalent, right? So.
Okay, and now that brings up like if their computer system's set up on Google and not Mac, is that one way they're going to go versus the other?
Yeah, I mean, so like most of the time it's between like Windows and Mac, but it's kind of the same. You're talking about the same kind of thing. With Windows or Mac, if you're talking about whether I want a Windows computer or a Mac computer, you're talking this exact same stuff. Is the software that I want to use compatible on both? Does it work as well for me? So yeah. Good question. Thank you. Kathy, did you have a question?
I was just saying, Google phones might be more susceptible to viruses than the iPhone.
I thought iPhone is because they're going to target iPhone because of more violence.
So there's both of those things. So there's a lot of miscommunication and misconception on that whole area. So really what we're talking about when we talk about iPhones are more secure over Androids being more secure is you're talking about how we can get software on there. So the only place, unless you do a lot of craziness, the only official place you can get software on and I'm talking about apps, sorry. The only place you can get apps on your iPhone is from their official store. Android is pretty much the same way now, is most of the stuff you're going to get is from their Play Store. The reason why Androids are more susceptible is the operating system, what runs the phone, is less proprietary, which means that the source of it is a little more public. Don't worry about that part of it. That's going to be what it is. But really what they're talking about is to get an app on the Android phone, there's less requirements than it is the Apple iPhone store. So in other words, iPhone vets or Apple vets their software a lot harder than some Android things do. It's easier to get It would be easier for, if I wanted to do bad things as a software developer, it would be easier for me to write a malicious app and put that on the Android store than it would be for me to do it on iPhone. That is not saying that it's not possible on iPhone either. It's saying that iPhones are completely secure. There's nothing completely secure, but
And they both monitor you, it doesn't matter that iPhone's being monitored more than the Google.
yeah, that is true too. If you talk about privacy, I mean, Android is technically owned by Google, and as soon as people hear those names together, I mean, they are right to assume that they're going to try and get your information. But Apple is also like
Does AI
data hungry.
develop more on the Android and the other ones? I noticed on my Android it pops a lot.
It depends. When you say AI, what do you mean?
If I'm on doing some AI, it'll pop up and give me another, I guess, an idea of a way I can do something.
Mm-hmm. I think I'd have to see specifically what you're dealing with, but in a general sense, it depends on what you're interacting with and how. I don't think the phones or the iPhone versus Android alone would be the difference.
Can you get rid of AI?
No. Yeah.
That's the $1,000,000 question.
Yeah. You can choose not to utilize it yourself in your own life, but the way it's being utilized it's integrated into our.
Can you disable it?
There is no, so by default your phone does not have. Hang on, I'm thinking because so AI isn't like one thing anymore. It's kind of like a network of things. So when you ask me that, my question is, can you just get rid of it, turn it off with a button? No. Sorry, my computer went to sleep. But can you decide not to use Siri, who may be using AI? Sure. That's a big question. We should probably have AI class number 2. Yeah.
Ask Meta, AI, or search.
Right. So that's talking about like your Siri.
Every time you search, it's gonna click the AI name.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's on Messenger.
So it goes to AI search. It doesn't on Facebook too.
Right, because that Facebook owns Messenger. Yeah. And Meta is their AI. So no, in that instance, I don't think you'll be able to because it's their product. They want you to use it, right?
On an app, it says, say for instance, I want solitaire on my, so I go to my my store, Apple store.
Yeah. Your app store, yeah.
Yeah, and I hit get.
Yeah.
And it should download, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so also one other question. On my app store, do I need to know my password?
So let me be clear. When anyone ever asks me if you should know your password, you always should know your passwords, regardless of what you're talking about. No,
But if I forgot it, can I redo it?
yes,
But then do I have to redo everything in my phone?
not the whole phone, but you're gonna. So your Apple ID is. So let me be less broad, more specific. You should, if you have an iPhone, you should really know your Apple ID password. It is like your identity with the phone. Your Apple ID password is your backups for your phone. It's your, so if you store like photos and stuff in the iCloud, again, if you don't know it, that's okay. But it's better to reset it now while you still have access to the phone instead of something happening where you're locked out and then there's no chances. So if you don't know it, yes, you can change it and do it sooner than later. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. But no, generally speaking, to answer your actual question, you don't have to know your Apple password generally to download stuff from the App Store. If it's asking you every time for the password, that's a setting that you have to set somewhere. I can't remember off the top of my head, but I can show you.
Is the password to get into your phone? If you don't use the face, it's a different one.
Yep. So the way your phone works is and even on Android, it's an equivalent. It's just two different. One's Google, one's Apple. But your phone is associated with an Apple account. So let's say in a general sense, let's say I have a MacBook or a Mac computer at home, an iPad, a phone, and an Apple Watch. That Apple account is what associates all that stuff together. But the PIN code on your computer can be different than on your phone. And then the PIN code on your phone can be different than your iPad. So they are two separate things, though they get very closely related and they don't seem like different things. But yeah. So if you know, so in other words, if you know the passcode to your phone, that doesn't mean you have access to your Apple ID password.
How do you set it up? Does it ask you to set it up?
Your Apple ID. Yeah. So almost, I have only seen like 1 or 2 times where someone doesn't have some sort of Apple ID set up, because to get by that, like to not do that, is really hard when you're setting up an iPhone. You have to kind of go around their normal circumvention or you have to circumvent them to not let you do that. So yeah. Yeah. So but if you go into your settings and you'll see your name at the top, that's here, I'll even show you, but that's how you know you have an Apple ID. Technology is not my friend today either. I can't get my.
This is not going away.
What are you trying to do?
Get out of there.
Here, let's
Take
swipe.
it out. How's
Yeah. Man, okay. I apologize. Apparently, it's taken me a bit to get back into the swing of things after all the holidays, but it's frozen, and I don't want to reboot it because I don't want to take time away from the one-on-ones. But so if you look in your settings, you're going to see where your name is. It's going to say iCloud. If you don't see your name there, that means you don't have an Apple account set up, which is, I would be very surprised. But that's, if you tap on your name, that's going to be all your iCloud settings, resetting your password, what storage you have set up, like if you pay for iCloud, all of that.
I have a question about that.
Yeah.
When we purchased our two phones, my husband and I would just have one account.
Okay.
Should we keep that? One iPhone.
That, whether you should do that or not, there's no right or wrong with that. Is that possible? Yes. Is there reasons you should do that for simplicity? Sure. Are there reasons you shouldn't do that for other? Yes. Until you come across a problem where that's limiting you, which it can, I wouldn't worry about it. As long as you can get access to it. That's the biggest thing. Yeah, that's true too. But you can also, even if you have two separate Apple IDs, you can still allow other people to see see your location and stuff. It's just not it's not default. Like, since the fact that their account is the same, it's going to happen automatically. But even if you have two different phones with two different accounts, you can still set that up. It's just extra steps. So again, so there's no like really wrong or right answer there. I would say best practice going forward would be have two separate accounts, but doing that at this point, I think would probably be more work than you're going to get benefit from.
I know this is
You're okay.
question, but okay. Apple account is not my password is different than my iPhone,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Two different things.
Yes.
My Apple account is my what?
It's your account with Apple. I mean, not to sound like smart ass like that, but it is literally your account with Apple.
With Apple.
Yeah, it's
My iPhone though is different account.
no, there's no really so
One and the same?
no. But hang on, pause. I know it's confusing. It is a confusing thing. So your Apple account is where everything's registered. So it knows what Apple devices you have. It's where all your backups and photos and stuff is stored. That's your Apple account. Your phone code is just what gets you into the phone. It's not what gets you into your Apple account.
Two different things.
Right. So in other words, you could go in right now and you could remove your Apple account, and the phone is completely usable by someone else. But then your Apple account is separated now. So they're at some point they're combined, but they are separate things. And really what that means to you is just have your Apple password somewhere so you know what it is. And then pretty much after that, you can forget that it exists until you need it. As long as you have access. Yeah.
You probably hit this.
You're fine.
They were talking this morning on TV. They were saying that you can get a crash
crash thing that will, if you have a car crash, that you have to have it in here.
Yes. So we were. No, and you're fine. So it depends on what model of iPhone you have. I think almost all of the modern ones do, and I can't remember off the top of my head. I'd have to look at it. And there is it's just a setting inside the phone to set that up. But yes, the theory is that they have put technology, and I don't have a lot of information on how well it works. But long story short, if the phone has a really fast acceleration and stop, it's going to consider that a crash, and that'll send out your SOS mode. But it's just as long as your phone is new enough, which I think yours is.
They said you had to input it.
You have to set it up. It's a setting, but you don't have to add anything additional to the phone.
Okay, and I don't know how it's set up.
I can look with you because I don't remember where it's at in the settings. But it's no, you're fine. But it's just a setting in the phone. It's not anything additional you have to purchase. It's nothing you have to go and find. Well,
You just have to say yes or no.
in the settings somewhere. I just can't remember off. Yeah.
They're quick enough to figure out how they were showing.
Yeah, you're fine. I would show you or tell you. I just can't remember off the top of my head. And then in the last couple updates, Apple has scattered all their settings to different places. So I'm still learning where all those have been hidden now. But if you were in my iPhone class, and this is Android, iPhone, whatever, I've been trying to tell people and educate as I'm learning too. Very rarely do I know exactly where things are anymore. And I know that sounds crazy, but if you open your settings and you look at the bottom, there should be a search bar. And I search for things all the time, like crash or impact or whatever. And then usually it'll pull up the setting that you're looking for.
And it's supposed to automatically let 911.
Yep, you can set that up. That's kind of part of the SOS stuff I was talking about before and whatnot. Yeah.
There is an SOS thing there. I saw.
Yeah. But the difference between what you're talking about and the SOS is like the SOS is like you're triggering it, like you're deciding that you're in danger, whereas the other way around, it's the phone deciding you're in danger. Yes. But yeah, it's a. I don't have a lot of. I don't know a lot of people who have personally been in a position where they've needed to use it, but from what I've heard from others,
I wondered too, just like you said, that you
Mhm.
have a sudden stop or something.
Yeah.
It wouldn't give you a false reading.
Yeah, and I don't have a lot of personal information for you on that. Logic does assume that yes, if you drop your phone hard enough, it could send an emergency request. All I know is that when this first came out, Apple did have those issues, and they did a lot of stuff with that technology to try and differentiate between dropping your phone and actually having a car crash. I think some of that is how fast you're actually going. So in other words, if you're going 0 miles an hour, but it gets a really hard impact, it's probably not a crash. Whereas if you're going like 30 to or 20 to 70 miles an hour and then you have an immediate stop, I would assume it would be something similar to that.
Unless they crash it back. If you're dropping that phone really hard, that's a pretty fast one.
Yeah, but it's a short distance.
Right. Yeah, it's talking about for how long you've gone, but I don't know. I don't have specifics on that. All I know is that they've tried to tune out accidents. Anyway, okay, I'm ready, and I appreciate everyone. It's like I said, I'm still getting back into the swing of things, but yeah.
I know you were gonna try and do a lot of Google stuff, and can you talk about the Google and the iPhone stuff at some point in your tech talk?
Sure.
Because I have family members too that have Google, and we try to share pictures and all, some of that kind of stuff over to the iPhone.
Yeah.
At some point, you don't need to do it.
No, you're fine.
Just saying, put that on the list, would you, please?
I will put it on the list, and I'll give you just a really brief like overview on that concept. They are, I don't want to call them rivals, but they are competing technologies, right? So to have the hope that they will at some point play 100% fair to fair is probably not realistic. Yeah, pretty much what I've been trying to tell people, like universal app, or how do I want to say that? Agnostic apps like Facebook Messenger. In my family, we use Snapchat. I know that's like a long younger generation thing, but a lot of those applications where they work on both iPhone and Android, those are where you can send pictures and stuff that work on both. You can do the FaceTiming thing, the calling thing. So really, WhatsApp is another big one. So really, the best way to get over that big difference if you're really fighting with the iPhone versus Android thing is to find a common app in the middle rather than relying on iPhone or Android to at some point decide to play fair.
And
So
you were talking about Facebook.
Yeah.
I know I don't get on it a lot. You know why?
Sure.
Because I've been hacked several times. I'm getting people posting these things again about you have to do it by January 7th, or Facebook can use all your pictures, repost this thing. That is such a scam. Please don't do that.
Yeah. Whenever you're dealing with social media or the internet in general, always be always just keep an open mind and do your research. I mean, stuff like that, it's pretty obvious that it's scammy, but if it seems like it's crazy,
I've been nailed with that so much at the
Yeah.
beginning of the year. And the last few days.
Yeah.
Because it's like, well, this allows Facebook to use your photos if they want to use your photos. And all this kind of stuff.
Yeah, there's a lot of fear mongering, and you just have to. You can see things and feel concerned, but don't act until you understand.
When I was thinking this was one of those we can ask questions.
Yeah.
But one of them I was going to ask you, people were saying about photos. My daughter-in-law has set up, a shared album.
Sure.
I don't know if that would help people, so all the family can put their photos.
Yeah.
I do, and I don't know how to get in.
I'm
learning how to do it.
Yeah, so I think we should do that. So I'm actually going to do a class on photos. So we are going to touch on that, and I think I'm gonna try and do a single class on photos in general for everyone, iPhone and Android. At first, I'm gonna see how well that goes. Anyway, but yeah, so we'll get into that more deep at that point, I think. But that's another one of those things that where shared albums work really good if everyone has an iPhone, or shared albums work really good if everyone has Android. The in between is still kind of a questionable thing. So
From my Android family member, I got a text or an email saying I need to subscribe. I know. See,
I'd have to see what that is too, because I don't know off the top of my head, to be honest with you. Yeah. Did you have a question?
In your class, something on how you clean your phone out somewhere down the line.
Yeah. Did you? So you have an Android, right, or iPhone? So I have an Android class. So I don't know if that'll be 101 or 102, but I'll add stuff in there for that. Yeah. So shared albums. Oh, where's my notebook? There it is.
Maintenance rules of thumb.
Yeah. Okay. I'm going to switch to the one-on-ones because I probably took more time than I could, but I'm going to write questions down before I forget. Shared albums, cleaning. Shared albums, clean Android. Oh. Okay, I'll say this. I know I've been preaching this ever since I started doing these. But usually when I get questions like this, those are bigger topics like that need to go into classes. But usually when I end up with questions that are kind of like low-hanging fruit, if you guys aren't looking at any of those articles that I write, I mean, it's okay. You're not going to hurt my feelings, but there is some really good information that I've put out there based on questions that I've been asked. And not that I don't mind answering the same question 100 times, but the reason why I'm bringing this up again is because some of the questions I keep getting asked, there is information on there already at your disposal. So I'll show you. I'll show you. Gosh, dang it. Okay. So again, my computer is not deciding to be very nice, but if you want, all of my business cards back there there's a website Well, actually, it's this QR code. But this QR code takes you to a website with all of my stuff on it. And a lot of it's professional stuff for my own whatever. But if you scroll all the way down to the bottom, there's going to be there that says articles. And those are the blog information. And if there's ever a piece of information that you would like, just let me know. Huh? Yeah, I do. They're all the way in the back, but I can get.
But if I'm on my email, on that.
Yep.
How do I notice? Oh, this is from Dylan.
What the heck of a name to live up to?
Yeah. It'll say my name. Yeah. So to be clear, in the very beginning, it wasn't showing my name properly when I was sending out emails. But now, if you search for Dylan or Dylan Wisdom, you'll find my emails. But yeah. If my computer comes back up, I'll show you guys really quick. Yes.
How do I know, I'm having trouble with my iPad, it should be synced to my phone, correct?
Yes.
And
In a general sense, yes.
in a general sense. And does it depend on how old your iPad is?
Sure. There are certain things that probably won't work well. So long story short, I don't know how old your iPad really is, but Apple came up with a new OS. So everything used to use the same OS. So Mac, like computers, phones, and tablets all used to use the same thing. And then at some point they split them into threes. So each one has its own unique one. So at some point, if your iPad's old enough where it's not getting the newest stuff, it's going to be weird. But I wouldn't be able to tell you until I know.
It's a long one. It was from a website.
Oh, okay.
My grandfather.
Okay. I think I'm going to do one-on-ones.